Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. Today I am doing a movie review of Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. I finally got to see it. I went to go see it yesterday. I initially wanted to see it the weekend after it came out because I knew that first weekend everybody and their mama was running to the theater. So I was like, I'm gonna give it a little bit of time to calm down, then I'll try to go see it. And then I missed it the second weekend. So I was like, you know what? It's Thanksgiving weekend. I'm off. Why not go? So I went with my sister and I thought it was a great movie. I'll just start off by saying that. I really, really enjoyed it. Um, so I definitely recommend going to see it if you haven't seen it yet. I think it's one of those movies that you will want to see in theaters. Because of the action scenes and the cinematography and just things like that. I feel like it's much more of a better experience when you see it in theaters versus just watching on TV. Because I'm sure, sooner than later, they'll probably have it on like Netflix or something like that, or they'll have it where people can watch it on TV. But go see it in theaters while you still can. And I'm sure it'll be in theaters for quite a while because it's a big movie. It's a Marvel movie, so yeah, so I'll just start off by saying that I recommend going to see it. So that I loved it. I really liked it. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing it again, but like I said, I think if I were to go back and see it, I think I want to give it some more time to kind of sit on it and just think about what happened and maybe even go back and rewatch the first one because I honestly don't fully remember what happened in the first one, which I know is probably a bad thing because it's like, why are you gonna go see the second one if you don't really know about the first one? But whatever. Um, I saw the first one a couple times. I saw it on Netflix, and then I had played it again for my dad because he wanted to see it, and this was years ago, so I don't really remember everything that happened in the first one, but I do remember that I enjoyed the first one as well. I didn't get to see it in theaters, so for this one, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to go see it and just go support. You know what I mean? Like pretty much for almost an all black cast and a black director and everything like that. I like going to support those types of movies. Um so yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about today and I'm excited to get into it, and I will preface this by saying that I'm going to try to stick to non-spoilers in the beginning. So for those who haven't seen it, I will warn you when I'm about to start talking about specifics of the movie and things that actually happen, so that way if you don't want to be spoiled and you don't want to hear it, you can click out of the video and then come back to my podcast episode later once you've seen the movie, and then you can listen to what I'm talking about because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. I hate when people do that to me. So I will let you know when I'm about to get into spoilers. And I hope I don't slip up and spoil anything, but I'm going to try to stick to like basic stuff in the beginning. So just to kind of recap a little bit from what I remember of the first movie, and what I actually did. So this is what I recommend to people too. So if you're going into the second movie and you're like, I haven't seen the first one in so long, like I barely remember what happened, or if you haven't seen it at all, if you haven't seen the first one at all, and you're just like, well, I'm gonna go into this lost. What should I do? You could go on YouTube and just type in like Black Panther recap, and people put up videos pretty much going through what happened in the first movie, but they do it in a very, quick way. So it's like a summary. It's basically like you're getting a summary of the first movie. So that's kind of what I did. I was like, well, let me go back and like see if I can find a quick little like, 3-minute video or 5-minute video what happened in the first one. So that way I get a little bit of a refresher without having to go back and watch the entire movie. So you could do that. And so in the first one, um, T'Challa, who is the main character played by Chadwick Boseman, he loses his father. His father gets killed, and when he gets killed, he has to become the Black Panther. Um, and so he takes on that role, and pretty much, I feel like the whole first movie is really like his journey as becoming the Black Panther, becoming the leader of the Wakandans, and kind of just trying to navigate that. It in some ways these stories kind of almost feel like coming of age stories a little bit, although obviously like he's grown and stuff like that. He's not like a little kid, but it kind of feels like that because it's like you're taking the audience on a journey. And I think both movies, what I really love is like they're very character driven. So if you love the characters, I feel like you're gonna love the movies. You know what I mean? Um, And so, yeah, that's kind of like the journey of the first one. It's really all about T'Challa and him taking on that role. And then, here comes Killmonger. He's pretty much like the villain in the first one, and he challenges him for the role, and that's his cousin. If you got for people that haven't seen the first one or don't know, ends up being his cousin. He finds out some things about his father, that his father killed his uncle, and left the child behind. And so Killmonger is like super resentful and everything. And a lot of the first movie is like it's really like a battle within their own country, if that makes sense. So it's really like all about family fighting, is kind of what it feels like. And so the big difference to me with the second one is that they're fighting a whole new, it's like a whole new villain. It's all new. It's like new people that they're fighting without giving too much away. Um, and so to me, that made it much more of a threat, and that made it even, more interesting to watch. So if you I would say if you're really big on like action scenes and battle scenes, you'll probably really like this one. I think they really stepped it up with the second one. The first one was good too with the fighting, but I think again because they're facing a new threat in the second one, so that means the fights were a little bit bigger. Um and I would say, yeah, I would say like bigger and better. So in that aspect, I would say they did even better with the second one. Um and so, yeah, and then in the first one, I mean, if you haven't seen it, sorry, but I'm spoiling it, I guess. The first one, Killmonger, they kind of battle a couple times, I believe, two or three times maybe, and then in the end, T'Challa kills him, and he gives them the choice to like live, but then Killmonger's like, well, why would I want to live and be in prison? Like, I would rather just die and be with my ancestors. And so he kind of gives him like the choice of what he wants to do, and he dies. And it's sad because it's like that's family, but it's also because it's like they could have been, probably in another life, they probably would have been really good friends. They would have been, um, close family, but because of his upbringing and just the way T'Challa's father handled things is kind of what messed it up for them. And so, and what I really liked about the first one too is like it starts off with T'Challa really, um, I feel like he kind of has his dad on a pedestal, and he really, admires him and respects him and everything. And he sees him as this really good man. And like throughout the movie, he learns that like his dad is really flawed, and there's things about his dad that he didn't know. And once he finds out, I think, at some point he kind of feels like a little betrayed, or he's like upset and stuff. But then he realizes too that like, I think now that he's taking on the role of being the Black Panther and being the leader of the Wakandans, he kind of has to be his own man. He can't be exactly what his father is because he's his own person. And we see that kind of continue in the second one with Shuri. And I absolutely love that. I love the way they handled that in the second one for sure. And I'll get more into that later because I want to talk spoilers, and I don't want to spoil anything for you guys who haven't seen it yet. So yeah, really great action scenes. Just to kind of like summarize, what I really loved about the second one, really great action scenes, nice cinematography. I liked the new villain. I liked the new threat that they had in the second one. Um, and to me, I feel like Shuri was the best character. I feel like she really carried this whole movie. Really, all of the women carried the whole movie. Let me not even like, I don't want to just single out and say just Shuri, because really all of the women carried the movie. But me personally, I feel like Shuri was the best character. I'll say it like that. And I liked her in the first one too, but I feel like I really liked her in the second one. And then, and I would say M'Baku is like really, really funny in this one. I hope I'm saying his name right. I'm sorry if I'm like mispronouncing people's names. But I don't remember him being like that funny in the first one. Maybe I'm like forgetting. I don't know. But the second one, he was funny. He had some good lines in this one. So look out for that if you go and see Wakanda Forever. Like watch like and listen to some of the stuff that he says and like the facial expressions he makes. It's actually really funny. So yeah, really great movie. I enjoyed it. Um and yeah, I really wish, like, honestly, I think that probably this podcast would be a lot more fun if I had somebody else on here, or if I did like a whole roundtable and we got to talk about the movie. Although I feel like if I did that, we would be going on for like hours trying to talk about the movie. I don't want to make it too long, because like I said, I don't want to spoil anything in the first 10 minutes of my podcast, I want to at least give people just an idea of what the movie is and maybe kind of like what to expect going into it. And obviously to address, the elephant in the room that Chadwick Boseman has passed away. So RIP to him because just really, really sad. Such a big loss to like the world, but to I think to just being in the talent community and with other actors because he's super talented. Like even outside of Black Panther, um, one of the other roles I really loved him in. There's a movie called 42, and he played Jackie Robinson. He played a young Jackie Robinson, and I really loved that movie. I don't know why. Like I remember watching that movie, and then I had it on DVD, and for some reason, I just really love that movie. I don't know why, um, but yeah, that's a really good movie. And that was obviously before he did Black Panther. So that was kind of before I would say kind of before he blew up, I think. And I just remember really loving him in that role. Like I kind of had a crush on him in that role. And then when I found out he was Black Panther, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the guy from 42. And I mean, I know he's been in plenty of other things, but that role specifically is like ingrained in my head. I don't know why. But yeah, so obviously, with his passing, um, that really shook everybody because he really meant a lot to Black and brown kids. And as far as playing, a Black superhero, I don't know if we've ever really had like such a major superhero like that on screen. I could be wrong because it's not like I follow a lot of the Marvel movies and things that happen in the MCU, but I don't think there was ever a Black Panther movie prior to the one in 2018. You could let me know if I'm wrong, but I really don't remember hearing about somebody else playing Black Panther. So I feel like he's the first. And I feel like he'll always, be remembered as that. Like that was his defining role, you know what I mean? And I think he knew that too before he passed away, that a lot of people like that was just special for a lot of people, especially Black and brown kids. To just have that representation and stuff, and I'm glad that it was him because not only is he a great actor, but he also seemed to be a really good man. And just from the way that he spoke in interviews and things like that, like he was very intelligent. And so I'm glad that kids had him to look up to for as long as they did. Um but yeah, I will say though, in this movie, be prepared for them to address the grief and the loss. They don't shy away from it. I'll just say it like that. So, um, yeah, just try to be prepared for that. And yeah, I feel like that's mainly what I can say without spoiling the movie. And I guess I'll leave it at that. Um, but yeah, I keep saying the same thing. Just a really great movie. Like I said, I enjoyed it, and I went with my sister. She didn't even see the first one, and she liked it. So I feel like even if you don't really know much about the Black Panther, if you don't really know much about Marvel movies or anything like that, like me, I'm not. I don't know. I haven't seen a ton of Marvel movies, to be honest. There's a lot I haven't seen, um, but I think you'll enjoy this either way. So yeah, so go see it. And if you guys do see it, let me know what you think. You could come back to this video and leave a comment, whether you watch me on YouTube, on Facebook. If you listen to me on Spotify, you could tweet me on Twitter or anywhere that you want to hit me up on social media to let me know. What you think about the movie, if you enjoyed it more than the first one, or if you like the first one better, or how you feel like, as far as them dealing with Chadwick Boseman's death, like how do you think do you think they did a good job? I feel like they did. I know that there was a video. I don't know if it was one person. It might have been multiple people saying this, but this was prior to me even watching Wakanda Forever. But I remember there was a video on TikTok of this guy going like, "Yeah, I feel like they were exploiting his death and everything, and like it was like done in poor taste, and I didn't like that how they did that, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff." And I was just like, "What?" Because I watched it and I didn't get that vibe at all. I really didn't get that vibe at all. I really think they were truly honoring him and the role that he did. Um, and I feel like it would be weird if they didn't honor him. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like that man made them a ton of money. Like, you better honor him. Like, he played the hell out of that role in the first one. So to me, it's just like, why would you like criticize them honoring his death. And I don't know. Like, I guess some people were nitpicky about that with this one. Um, but I think it's just one of those things where it's like a sensitive subject for people, and it's like if they envision it happening in a certain way, if it doesn't turn out that way, then people want to be like, well, that's not right. They should have did it this way. They should have did it that way. And it's like, you can't please everybody. So I don't know. But um, from what I've heard, I feel like for the most part, people enjoyed it, and they didn't feel like it was something to exploit him or anything like that. They didn't feel like that at all. It felt very genuine. And I could see why people cried too watching, because I heard people were like coming out of the theater crying, and they brought tissues and everything. So, if you're one of those people who cries at movies, bring tissues. Typically I do. Surprisingly, I didn't with this one, but there was a part where I did kind of feel like I wanted to cry, and I won't say what it was because that would be a big spoiler, so I won't say it, but I'll say it a little later. But yeah, no, I didn't feel that at all watching it. So I'm not sure where people were getting the idea that they weren't like honoring him the right way. I don't know, but like I said, I really loved it. So go see it if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, hit me up because I would love to talk with other people about it, just to know like what you guys think. Um, and honestly, like if anybody would like to come on the podcast, if you want to be a guest or if you want to bring a friend and you want to do like a whole discussion about it, we can. I'm down to do that. Just let me know and I will set it up. Um, but yeah, I did want to kind of just dedicate this whole episode to going to see this movie and stuff, because I feel like, especially to our community, it's a big thing. So I wanted to talk about it. But before I get into the spoiler section, I did want to remind you guys that my podcast is sponsored by Stream Media. So thank you to Stream Media for sponsoring me. If you haven't heard of Stream Media, if you don't know what they are, their Stream Studio is what I use to go live every week. And this is how I do the podcast. So you can check that out at studio.streann.com. All you need is an email to get in, and they send you a login code, and then you're able to use the Stream Studio features however you really want. You don't have to do a podcast like me. You could do Twitch. You can go live through Twitch. You could do Facebook. You could do YouTube. And I think they're adding new features pretty soon. So it's really whatever you want to do. I just happen to do a podcast, but any type of live streaming that you want to do and you want to make your own content creation, you could do it through there. And it's really easy to use. I say this all the time, but like I'm not really a techie person, and I've been able to navigate it pretty easily. So I say that to say, if I could do it, you could do it. So definitely check that out if you are looking to get into content creation, or if you are a content creator already and you're kind of just looking for like a platform to use, and you're like, I kind of want to do some videos, but I don't know how to go about doing this. Check them out because they could be the right avenue for you. You never know. But anyway, let's get into, because this is like, yeah, I feel like I've been talking about the movie long enough without the spoilers. Let's get into the spoilers, y'all. So this is a disclaimer. Do not say that I did not tell you. I'm telling you right now, I'm about to talk about things that happened in the movie. If you have not seen Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, you do not want to be spoiled, click out of this video right now. I'm giving you time to do it. Do not get mad at me. And like I said, you can come back to this video once you have seen the movie if you want to hear the rest of the discussion. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. Obviously, I go live every Saturday at 1 p.m. And then I'm on Spotify as well. So if you don't really have time to watch me, you can also just listen to me as well. But yes, you can come back and watch all of my previous episodes. So don't worry about it. If you were like, oh no, I want to watch the video, but I haven't seen the movie, you could come back to it. It's totally fine. So let's get into it. So let me just start off by saying one of my favorite scenes, probably my favorite scene, is the one that made me really emotional, what I just mentioned a minute ago, where I kind of felt like I wanted to cry. It was at the end when Shuri is sitting by the fire and she's about to burn the, I don't know what that's called. I guess it's like I honestly don't know if it's like a robe or a dress or something, and it's all white, and it's basically, it was like a full circle moment. So like towards the beginning of the movie, her mom, the queen Ramonda, was like, is it Ramonda or Ramonda? Oh my god, I feel like I'm gonna be mispronouncing names. I'm sorry, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So the queen, her mom, played by Angela Bassett, she tells Shuri, like, she's basically like trying to help her heal and mourn her brother's death. And she tries to get her to take part in the ceremony. And at that point, I think Shuri's headspace was very different from her mom's and from everybody else. Like, I think she was just really, not only was she sad, but just really angry. And I think she felt guilty too for not being able to save T'Challa. So she was like, I'm not going to do this like ritual. Like, I don't want to do that. Um, and I think she was kind of just like, that's your way of handling grief. That's fine if you want to do it that way, but for me, like, this is not going to work. Like, he's gone. There's no connecting with him. There's no trying to talk to him, because I think there's a point where her mom's like, yeah, I could feel him in the wind, and I know he's here with us. And Shuri was just like, no, he's not. Like, he's gone. And that is very real. When I tell you guys, like, this whole movie, the way they dealt with like grief and loss and just such like heavy human emotions, it was super relatable. And because like when you lose someone, everybody deals with that differently, and I like that they showed that too. And I like that they showed Shuri dealing with it one way in the beginning, and by the end of the movie she kind of you know she was in a different headspace, I think. And I just love the journey of that and the way they showed that with her. And that's why I said I felt like she was my favorite character. And just the character development was just like A+. Like, it was just so good. Um but yeah, so that has to be like my favorite scene, or one of my favorite scenes, when she at the end of the movie, she's burning the white robe or the dress. I don't know exactly what it is. Let me know if you know. And there's a moment where she's like closing her eyes, and it's like all these flashbacks of her and T'Challa, and she, she's crying and stuff, and it's just like, oh my god, like, even thinking about it now, I wanted to cry. I was like, why would they do this? But what made it so like sad and feel more heavy was it was silent. Like, when they were showing these flashbacks, it wasn't like heroic music in the background. It was like dun, 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 dun. It was just silent, and it was really making you like almost like sit in the grief and sit in the loss and the fact that he's not here anymore, and not just the character, but like that Chadwick isn't here anymore. And I was like, oh my god, you guys, like, come on. But they did that really, really well. It was like a moment of silence for him, and for and her to like mourn the relationship that she had with her brother. um I just love that scene. That was a really good scene. And then what was even better was the after credit scene. So if you guys know, like, you go and see a Marvel movie, if you wait till like a minute after the credits, they always show an extra scene. So the extra scene was, it just pretty much continued from where it had left off, her sitting by the fire, her kind of crying, thinking about T'Challa, and then Nakia comes in with this little boy, and come to find out that's her son. And I was like, are you serious? And not only is that her son, that is T'Challa's son. And I was just like, wow, like, that was a surprise, a nice surprise. Um, so if you guys went to go see the movie and you missed that, you missed out, because that was a really good scene. And so Nakia introduces her son to him, to not to him, to Shuri. And he's a cute little boy too. And she introduces him as like a different name, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce it because I know I'm gonna mispronounce it. And then she says, and then they go like, well, what's your real name? And then he's like, well, my real name is like T'Challa. And that's when it clicked for Shuri, that she's like, oh my god, like, this is my brother's child, like, this is my nephew. And that makes her cry more. And I was just like, oh my goodness. And she had asked her, did the queen, did she know, like, did she get to meet him? And I think Nakia said yes. So I'm a little confused as far as like, did T'Challa know that Nakia had his son? Did he know? I don't know, like, what, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if he knew before he died, or um like, if he knew that she was pregnant, and that he just felt like maybe it was better for her to like have the baby, outside of Wakanda, and to kind of like live in peace somewhere else. I don't know. I don't really know like what the timeline is as far as what happened. Cause see, y'all, it's a whole thing. I didn't know that T'Challa died in, I'm gonna get this wrong. was it Endgame or Infinity War, like one of the Avenger movies. Again, I haven't seen like any of those movies, so I'm like, this is like his third time dying there, because he basically like died in the first one. I mean, he was in a coma, but like he kind of like died in the first one, and then I guess he died in one of the Avengers movies, and then he got resurrected some kind of way, and then um I don't know how, like, I don't know what the timeline is between when that happened and then in the second movie. So if anybody knows, please let me know. Like, try to explain it to me, because I'm kind of confused about that. And I know in the movie they were saying that Nakia had been away from Wakanda for like 5 or 6 years. And then, the little boy looks to be about that age too. So I'm kind of like, so what, at what point, like, did he know or did he not know? Because I feel like that'd be a little weird for her to not tell him, like, if that she was pregnant with his child. I don't know, I know they weren't together, but it was like there was still, clearly there was still love between them in the first one. Um so I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure if he knew, and I don't know. But either way, the mom knows, or the mom knew before she passed, and then now Shuri knows. And so to me, for them to show that, like, I feel like they're showing that, like, at some point the throne will be passed down to him, because that's his son, even though he hasn't been living in Wakanda. But I feel like at some point that probably will happen, or I feel like that's maybe what they're setting up for if they make like a third or fourth, if they continue to do Black Panther movies. Um, and I think that would be really interesting to see. I would love to see what they do with that, or to see if, once he's old enough, like, would he even want to be, Black Panther? Would, I don't know. Like, I just think that would be a really cool thing to explore. Um, so obviously, Shuri is Black Panther now, but I'm not sure if she's going to be Black Panther for like a while, or if she kind of just temporarily took on the role just so that they could fight Namor and the rest of the, I call them the blue people, the blue fish people. I don't know. But again, like, I thought she was a great Black Panther, and I would love to see her in another movie and stuff. So I feel like, they'll probably continue it in either in a third one, or maybe like a separate movie that's just all about like Shuri. I don't know. But yeah, I just said a lot there. Hopefully you guys caught up with what I was saying. But basically, like, the scene with Shuri at the fireplace was like my favorite scene. And it was very emotional. And like I said, the way that they were showing, like, all these images of T'Challa, and Chadwick as T'Challa, and it was just like, it was silent, and the way that they, that's why I said I felt like they honored him really well. And there's a point in the beginning of the movie too, where they're showing like the Marvel Studio sign, and like it's all these flashes from the first movie, and again you're like, oh my god, like, they're hitting it with you like right in the beginning. And this is what I was trying to say earlier without spoiling it. Like, um they addressed the grief from the very beginning, like, and I didn't expect that. I kind of thought that, like, maybe like 15 minutes into the movie, that they would say like, oh, T'Challa had passed away, and then like they would deal with it. But it was like from the very beginning, Shuri is like stressed out and trying to figure out a way to save her brother. And then, the queen comes in, and she's like, he's gone. And they have his funeral, and they're, it's like a celebration of life thing that they're doing. And they're, oh my God, like, it was beautiful, but it was just like, dang, like, this is very beginning. They're telling you that he is gone. And it's like, you have to sit with that. And like, I don't know. It's like you just have to deal with it. Like, they force you to deal with it throughout the entire movie. And you feel the loss like through Shuri's eyes. I feel like this whole movie was really like through her perspective, is what it felt like. And like I said, just going through this journey with her losing her brother, then losing her mom. I was so surprised by that. And then her, becoming the Black Panther and taking on this leadership role, and kind of the same way T'Challa had to do, but it was different because, like, in this case, she didn't really have, like, of course she still has the rest of Wakanda and everything, like her friends, but she was like, once her mom was gone, she was like, that was the one person that really knew me, and they're gone. Like, that was the last person that really knew her, she was saying. And so she kind of had to do this, like, kind of on her own. And I was like, I give props to her for that. Like, she killed it. Like, she did what she had to do, and she stepped up. And became a leader. And so I was just like, I love Shuri. Like in this, I loved her in the first one, but in the second one, I really loved her even more. So yeah, they addressed the grief head on in the very beginning. So I understand now why people were crying and everything, um but yeah, back to the queen's death. I did not expect that. I really thought like that they were gonna revive her. Like when she saved Ironheart, and then like I know they showed her floating in the water, but I thought that that maybe she had just passed out and maybe there was like water in her lungs or something. Because the same thing happened to Ironheart where they were like giving her not mouth to mouth, but trying to resuscitate her, and then she like threw up the water and everything, and I was like, okay, well, she's good, but what about the queen? And they're just like trying to bring her back, and I'm like, I know dang well y'all did not kill Angela Bassett in this movie, but she did die, and I was like, oh my god. And that was really sad, and the fact that she went out like saving that girl and pretty much like died a hero and stuff, I was just like, they're really like they're really trying to like make us sad in this movie. Like, why y'all doing this to us? But yeah, I was just like, wow, like she's really gone. So I don't know. I'm assuming that they'll do another Black Panther movie. I'm not sure if so I'm assuming that if she is still in it, it'll be like a flashback scene, or it'll be like a what do you call it? Like her showing her as a spirit kind of thing. Cause I'm just like, that's gonna be so weird for them to make another Black Panther movie and she's not in it. Like that's just another person that's gonna be gone. And I'm just like, dang. I think that's what I was thinking about too. I was like, they really killed her off, like for real. But anyway, and then another thing that really surprised me was Michael B. Jordan was in it, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "This dude's supposed to be dead. What he doing in here?" But and it was funny because I told my sister, I was like, "Oh yeah, he was in the first one, but he died, so he's probably not going to be. I doubt they'll show him." And then there he is, and what was really interesting about this scene, and I want to know like your guys' opinion, like how you interpret it and everything. Um, so the scene is Sherry takes the what do you call it? Like the purple juice. That's not the correct name for it, but basically to become like to get the powers to be the Black Panther. And she takes it, and then like kind of the same thing what happened to T'Challa in the first movie when he took it, and then like he was kind of like, I don't know if it's like an afterlife type thing, but it's like he was able to speak with his father. And so same thing happens to Shuri, and I think Shuri is going into it like, oh, I'm gonna be able to see my mom or T'Challa or somebody that I really love, and I'll be able to speak with them. And then it's Killmonger, and I'm like, and even she's like, what? Like, why are you here? And she has this conversation with him, and he's still like, I mean, he hasn't changed, not even in death. Like he's still super hard, and like he seems still very much angry and resentful and everything. So he definitely doesn't seem like he's at peace. I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, so basically he's kind of like talking to her, and he's just like, well, your brother, he was too noble, so are you gonna be like him, or are you gonna be like me? You gonna he's like, are you gonna step up and do what needs to be done? And they kind of cut it off there, and they come back to that scene later on, and we found out that Shuri was basically saying like, yeah, I'm not my brother, and I'm gonna, and she was angry, like her mom, like Namora killed her mom and everything, and she was still grieving her brother, and she's young too, so it's like all these emotions that she's trying to work through. And I don't doubt her, I should say I don't doubt her, I don't blame her for being so upset and wanting to kill Namora, wanting to do um kind of wanting to do damage and wanting to kind of rage and everything. That's just where she was at that point. And she's like, yeah, I'm not my brother, like I'm gonna, like basically like I'm gonna kill this dude, like he killed my mama, I'm gonna kill him. And obviously, if you guys, since you guys seen it, I'm hoping that the people that are listening to my spoilers have seen it, you guys know that she didn't end up killing him. But what was confusing to me was why she saw Killmonger in that scene. And I know she was really upset about that because Nakia kept asking her, like, who did you see? And she wasn't answering. And so I think she felt like, I don't know, kind of like they left her hanging. Like she was kind of just like, why wouldn't my mom show up? Like, why was it him? Um, and I'm kind of confused about that too. Why it was him? Because I feel like they did that for a reason. They specifically had him in that scene for a reason. The way I interpreted it was that because at that time she was still really angry, and that was kind of the emotion that she was like tapped into, and that's why he popped up. Versus maybe had she done that later on in the movie when she wasn't so angry, maybe it would have been her mom or her brother or something. I don't know, or her dad. I don't know. But I was kind of like, why did he show up? Like, I don't know if he like infiltrated it, or if he was supposed to be like a representation of where, like, what road she was going down, if she continued to kind of act out of like rage and anger and stuff. Like, I don't know. I wasn't sure how to interpret that, but I thought that was interesting that he did pop up like that. I was like, whoa. I was like, what the heck? Why is he here? Um, but yeah, that was interesting. So there was some good like little surprises in this movie as well. And then what was I gonna say? There was something else I feel like. Oh, okay, I know what I was gonna talk about. So the messages in this movie were like so good. I mean, they were good in the first one, but like I should have, man, I wish I would have remembered like the lines, like specifically what people were saying, because there was some stuff that was said and I was just like, wow, that was like really deep, or like that was really good and stuff. One of the lines I really loved was at the end when Shuri is going up against Namor, and she has him. Like, she could have killed him if she really wanted to. Like, she had that knife, or it wasn't a knife, but like the spear up against his neck, and she really could have just did it. And I kind of felt like she wasn't going to, because I was like, she's hesitating quite a bit. And then obviously like her mom shows up, and she's like, and she says, show him who you really are. And um and then she says this line, and it's something like, God, I wish I remember exactly what she said, but it's something along the lines of, we've been dealing in grief and loss for far too long. Like, we can't let this affect our people too. And that line was like, I was like, she's so wise and just so smart. And like, I just really loved, like I said, I just really loved her journey in this movie. And there was a lot of like good little nuggets, like pieces of knowledge dropped throughout this movie if you really listen to what they say. But I love that she said that, and she came to that conclusion on her own with her mom's help a little bit. But I'm glad that she made that decision, because I think had she, it's like, realistically, if she had killed Namor, would that have really helped her? No. Maybe it would have felt good in the moment that, like, yeah, I got back this guy who killed my mom, but then after that, it's like, you're still gonna be sad. That's not gonna take the hurt away. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that she didn't do it. And then she came to a compromise with him, and now they're supposedly supposed to be allies. I don't know how long that's going to last, um but yeah, that I love that line that she was like, we can't let this end. And that was just such a, like, you could just tell she had fully taken on the leadership role at that point. Like, that was such a leader thing to say, if that makes sense. Like, she wasn't just thinking about herself in that moment, she's thinking about the rest of the Wakandans and stuff. And yeah, I just love that. So that was one of the lines I really loved. But there's like a ton of other ones, and I don't even remember what was said. But the other thing too that I really like was M'Baku was like really funny in this. I think I mentioned this earlier, that he was funny, and then besides him kind of bringing some comedic relief to the movie, I like that he had these little moments with Shuri, and I think even for him, you could tell that this was a little outside of his like comfort zone, or a little kind of like how he didn't really know, really maybe like what the right thing to say to her was, and kind of how to deal with it, because he knew that she was dealing with a lot. But he also said that, like, I promised your brother that I would, like, you look out for you, like, look out for you guys. So I'm gonna fulfill that promise and do that. And and yeah, so I like the little moments between them and stuff. I could see them being like better friends now that she's a leader too. And yeah, but yeah, he was funny. Like, he had some really good. There's a line where he says he's talking to oh my God, I'm blanking on her name, you guys. I'm blanking on her name. Okoye? I don't I feel like I'm gonna say her name wrong, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But there's a line, so I think it's like towards the beginning of the movie, and he comes in, he's talking to her, and he's like, you bald headed demon. And I think I heard that line was not scripted. So I feel like that's funny if he really just came up with that on his own. Um, but yeah, and she was funny too. Like she had some good like funny moments with like Ironheart and everything like that. And um God, I'm trying to remember. Like, this is so much. I don't know. And I felt like, of course, Ironheart was a good addition to the story. I'm sure they'll probably continue on with her as far as like maybe her having her own separate movie or her own show. Um, like kind of like what happens after she left Wakanda and she went back home to Chicago. Like, what happens with her? It's kind of like did she continue with school and everything, or did she kind of like, now that she's kind of pretty much fought with all of them, does she kind of realize that like, hey, I want to be a superhero too? Like, I don't know, I'm wondering what happens with her after that. So I feel like there might be something that they do with her later on, which would be interesting to see. So she brought some comedic relief as well, but I definitely feel like Mumbaku was like the funny one in this movie for sure. So yeah, really just really great movie overall. Really great messages throughout the movie. Like I said, I wish I could remember specific lines, but I know that one where the one I mentioned with Shuri, I really like that line. I love the whole speech that the Queen gave in the beginning when she was talking to United Nations, and they're coming after Wakanda, talking about you promised you was going to do this, like you supposed to be sharing your resources and helping us and all this stuff. And she's like, "Hold up, like, like really, like y'all coming for us when we're trying to deal with the grieving and we're trying to deal with the loss of like our king, our leader, and you're." Like, really? And then she pulls out the receipts on him and she's like, well, you know what? There's been people that have been trying to come after us and trying to steal our vibranium. And we could have killed them. We could have did something way worse, but we just caught them. So here you go. And next time y'all try to do that again, like we're not gonna be so nice about it. Like I love that whole speech that she gave. Um that's why I'm really sad. I'm like, dang, I can't believe they killed her. Like I can't believe she's not gonna be in the movies anymore. Like what the heck? Um but yeah, there was a lot of great lines in this movie. So comment down below what your favorite line in the movie was, who your favorite character was, your favorite scene, all that stuff. Like, what moment really touched you? Was there any moments that made you cry or made you emotional? Um, and what do you think about Shuri being the new Black Panther? Do you feel like she will do it, if they continue to do movies, which I feel like they probably will, do you feel like she'll be able to carry on the legacy really well? I feel like she will be able to, and I definitely think her making that decision to not kill Namor and pretty much be allies with him and his people, I feel like T'Challa would be very proud of her for making that decision because I feel like he would have done the same thing. Um, but I also hope that that doesn't like bite them in the butt later on because I don't know, like I'm still kind of on the fence about how Namor was talking to the lady. I don't remember her name, but like one of his people, because she was like, why did you like why did you form an alliance with them? Like, why are you surrendering to them? That doesn't sit right with me. And he's like, well, hey, like having an alliance with them is like really good for us, like he's still obviously trying to look out for his own people, which is understandable. But then he's like, yeah, this is great for us because when the surface world comes for Wakanda, like they're gonna come to us. And so we're gonna be on top. We're gonna have all the power. And so part of me is kind of like, that doesn't really sound that great to me. I feel like he's definitely gonna have like a hidden agenda. Like I don't think he's evil, but it's like he's gonna do what he needs to do. He's gonna do whatever he feels like is necessary for him and his people. And if that means going against Wakanda again, he'll do it. So that's why I'm kind of like, oh, like I don't know what's gonna happen there, um, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out later on if in the next movie or if they do like a not a spin-off, but like if they do a separate movie about more so about him and his people or something like that, maybe we'll find out. I don't know. Or if they do another Avenger movies and they happen to be in it, I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff I feel like that's like I don't want to say left unanswered, but it's also like what does this mean for the next movie, or what does this mean as they continue the story? Like what's going to happen? I don't know. But yeah, really great movie. I give it a I was gonna say 9 out of 10. No, I give it a 10 out of 10. It was good. I would want to go see it again for sure. And I think you can even see it in like IMAX, and I heard some people were seeing it in 3D. I just saw it like the regular way. Um, but I guess if you have the means and you have the money to go and see it in IMAX, definitely do that because I'm sure it would be really cool to see it in that way. Because a lot of the like underwater scenes, I feel like that would be cool to see in IMAX or 3D or something like that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. I feel like I could keep going on and on and on and asking questions about it, but I won't do that to you guys. Um, and like I said, like comment down below like what you thought about the movie, or even if hopefully you're not still watching this part if you haven't seen it, but like if you just wanted to hear me talk about it, like, and if you haven't seen it, let me know what you're looking forward to seeing or what you expect out of the movie. Um, and yeah, I want to hear your guys' opinions and thoughts as well, and how you think they handled T'Challa's death. Do you think they did it in a good way? I feel like it was very realistic, and um, I think they honored him very well. I'll just leave it at that. I feel like they did a good job at it, but I want to know what you guys think, of course. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up there, and I will see you guys next Saturday at 1 p.m. on Facebook as usual. I know I keep mentioning possibly doing a Bridgerton rewatch, and I haven't even done it yet. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that would be best or if you guys will want me to talk about something else. Because obviously, I won't be doing movie reviews every episode. So I want to get back into doing like TV stuff again because that's kind of like what my podcast is mainly about. But let me know if you guys would be interested in me doing a Bridgerton rewatch. If not, what I think I might want to talk about is the new Criminal Minds. I don't want to say series, but I guess like the new season, which I didn't even know about until like recently. I was like, what? They're still continuing Criminal Minds? Like, I haven't watched Criminal Minds in years, but I used to love that show. Like in high school and college, that was my show. Like when everybody was watching Law and Order, I was watching Criminal Minds. And that's not a dig to Law and Order because I actually do really like that show. But Criminal Minds was just like, that was just like my show. I don't know how else to say it, but I could get into that if you guys would want me to, and I could try to see. I'm not sure where this new season. So I heard it was going to be on Paramount Plus, and then somebody said, well, it's on CBS. So I don't know if they're showing the new episodes on cable or if you have to stream it. I don't know. I guess I got to find that out. But if I can watch it, if I can access the episodes, then I'll definitely talk about that because um yeah, I feel like that's going to be, if they're showing it on Paramount Plus, I feel like they're going to make the show more gory, to be honest. So I feel like that will be interesting. And of course, they're going to be addressing like the pandemic and stuff. And so I think it's going to be like crazier than ever, to be honest. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what they do with the show. But anyway, that's for, next week for later and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go, like I said, for the third time, and I will see you guys next week. Hopefully, you enjoyed this discussion about Black Panther. Let me know what your favorite part was, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.